John.
Ang pagkuha na to sa voltage man sa voltage to kay iba na to sa ohms law kay ang current daw i-check directly proportional sa voltage this that we transpose na to GGB balong buhay. Which I check na ko ang signal niya. Finish. No, shopping here.
Sarap pa nito po.
Wala na pong signal.
Ang sa unod. Diba ra kung isuyo.
Ikaw rin kung signal.
Nakita ninyo? Nakita ninyo ang screen? I mean, ang slideshow?
Yes, miss.
Sige. So,
Yes, miss. Nakita ra.
Ang series definition niya. I-share daw og same current ang mga branches na
so moto going back. Yes. Sino ang nag-raise ng hand?
Pag-solve na to sa voltage atong gamiton ang atong Kirchhoff's voltage law. Di ko na si isa tayo nag-answer kanina sa kuha na to ang Kirchhoff's voltage law. Si Jeremy, Mr. Jeremy.
Sige.
Mr. Jeremy, no? So, usawa man ako pag adject right sum is equal to 0. So, daghan na gamitan na ulit ang kuha. Dili ra mo sabi ang tingog.
Sige. So, madungog ra ko? Madungog ra? Okay ra?
Klaro lang ba, miss?
Klaro na? Sige.
Clear. Putol, miss.
Okay. Sige. Anyway, I think
Miss.
naka-record man niya siya. So, ako lang i-send sa inyo ang recording after. So, we'll resume na lang. And so, as what I have discussed earlier, no? So, sa function follows form follows function. There's no Dili madungog. Potol-potol gyapon.
Inay kay mong tingog, miss.
Dire pinaura sa ako dire, miss.
Osad, miss.
Aura. Sige. So, there's no different there's no definite answer, no, if unsa jud. Okay na?
Okay ra, miss.
Sige. So, actually, there's no definite answer if dili jud siya ingon nga kanang dapat form follows function or function follows form jud. Actually depende rin sa inyo if which theory would apply to you, but for us, the widely used theory is form follows function. So that's it. Okay. Yeah. So let's going back to architectural drafting. So that was the introduction to architecture. It's more on a basic lang background of what is architecture. So mo to siya. Naa siya if three basic principles which is widely used, which is a space, form, and function. So going back to architectural drafting. Architectural drafting is a translation of ideas into technical drawings, detailed plans, and models for construction of buildings working with data outlined by architects and engineers. So basically, architectural drafting is more on preparation of the construction drawings. It is a translation of detailed plans. So sa construction man good, it's we communicate through technical drawing. So it's important for us to relay to relay through drawings yun. So basically if maghimo tag plano, um kuan na siya detailed kay kung moana ka, like for example na ako'y mangutana ko sa nagbuhat sa plano, like unsa ni siya diri nga part nya moana ka, kuan na siya diha kanang play area or entertainment area, but wala nimo gi-reflect. So what's not there is not there, dili ka makaingon nga kana siya nga area diha intended na siya para ana, pero wala nimo gi-specify. So, kung unsay na sa inyong plan, kung unsay inyong i-reflect sa inyong plans, it is important na specify ninyo siya. Dili lang kay magbutang mo area, ara na siya, wala siya specifications. Because we are technical specifiers. So, we specify plans, we specify materials, we specify finishes. So, more on ang drawings is a form of communication sa ato ba. Mo-communicate ta through drawings. So, sa construction, it very important na siya ang plano because muna siya ay basihan sa construction. So, dili mo move forward ang activity or ang certain production or construction of a part sa certain area if walay plano. So dapat mangutan naman na sila sa imong nga for example, sige i-construct na ni siya ang certain part like ang wall ani nga certain unit. So mangutan naman na sila asa man ang plano ninyo. Basically plano is more on muna siya ang means of communications sa construction. So, muna'y naka-importante po sa atua because we are specifiers man. So, kita mo yung detalye, kita mo yung what do you call that, mo specify if unsa siya ang outcome in the future. Basically, architectural drafting is more on a translation of from the ideas to drawings. Okay? Okay, kaging na po. So, any questions before I'll go to the next slide? Madumog pa ko ninyo. Maayo.
Ako wala lagi.
Madumog pa ko ninyo, guys.
Sakit sa bulsa, may kwarta.
Madumog ako ninyo.
Choppy gamay.
Madumog ako ninyo. Madumog ka?
Okay, miss.
Madumog ka? Sige. So, muna siya. So, since we detail more on, okay. So, since we are working with the construction industry, Architectural drafters detail building codes, dimensions, and materials to be used and procedures to be followed by building contractors. Are you familiar with building contractors? Familiar mo og building contractors or contractor? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Familiar gamay, miss.
so we work with them.
Di ba first
We work with them.
Kaning kuan, kaning muna siya basihan nga official na enrolled.
So, basically, ang building contractors will depend on the plans which are produced by architectural drafters or architects or draftsmen on the construction. So, so if one so maduong pa ko ninyo?
na naman
Lagi, miss?
Dili?
sa
Putol?
sa Google Classroom may
O, sa haibukan.
meeting na kayo na pwede
After mga kami.
Full, miss.
Putol.
Tingog.
Sige lang kay gi-record man ni nako. So ako lang i-send ang recording after. Okay? Sige.
sa may
If naamoy questions, I'll kuan na lang. I'll entertain your questions after I discuss. Okay? Kay para dili mo interrupt ang kuan kay medyo hinay ang signal. So okay ra? So as what I have discussed, no? So as what I have discussed earlier, we are specifiers. So we specify the type of building structure, the materials used, may it be reinforced concrete, masonry, steel, timber. So ato na siyang i-specify kung unsa na siya type na building structure or the materials or the finishes. Ato na siyang gina-reflect sa ato ang plans na gi-prepare. So in planning code, we are basing our plans on the codes. What we have are the National Building Code. We also have the restrictions. Restrictions meaning katong mga laws on accessibility, the BP 344, which is the accessibility law, the fire code, the housing laws, the the municipal and barangay what do you call this, ordinances. So not dili lang na siya based on our ideas or di lang dapat takag plano based on unsay feel or unsay gi-request sa client, but we also translate it basing on the building codes which is set by the government and other agencies. Since we are not open to the idea of having AutoCAD this sem, so we'll use manual drafting in all our what do you call this, in all our topics.
okay lang
Okay. So as what I have discussed, architecture involves both planning and construction. So architecture is present in planning, and architecture is also present in construction. So, have I discussed this last time?
Wala pa, miss.
Sige. So, in planning, that in before we come up with the physical structure niya, or before we detail the physical appearance, we first identify the areas, and we do space planning. Are you familiar of the bubble diagram?
Si Eunice try kuan, dili mo respond. Eunice okay ra mo sa video.
Miss.
Wala. So,
Itong maglingin-lingin.
yeah, so bubble diagram is the identification or the analogy of the areas. So more on gi-identify ninyo, then gi-quantify ninyo ang areas, then gi-interrelate ninyo ang areas, and kung unsay adjacent ng area to another. So meaning if ang living area and dining area dapat pa sila ay adjacent to each other or dili. So dapat inyo na siyang i-identify if unsa nga areas ang ma-involve sa living and dining. So ang dining and kitchen dapat pa siya adjacent to each other. So that's also one consideration in planning. So space planning more on involves the purpose of spaces and kinsa mo'y mogamit and who will use them. So example aning space planning one aspect of space planning is sorry, coming up with space bubble diagram. Sorry. So anyways, kung katong dili maka follow through sa discussion, I'll send a recording para maka-follow ra sila after. Ha?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Hindi pa ning imong gikon si screen sharing, miss.
Ha? Ay, wait. Wala ko nakadungog sa
Imong
imo.
screen sharing kan ba application ba pwede?
Pwede mo?
Imong may file ani para mabasa sa download.
Wait lang. Wala. Tika na sa... What? Wala.
If ever, ay, there are 25 response. Kung galing ka rin sa attendance, sapat ba? Wala ka like. Wala ka...
Hello? No, miss.
Wala ko nakadungog actually. Sige, I'm still waiting for your confirmation. Unsa to? Unsa to? May question?
O kaning kuan miss ba kaning screen sharing ganin imong mga presentation pwede may kapag
Pwede mo ka?
magpa-send nimo PDF pa ning gi-share nimo.
I think na-send na din ako ninyo before.
Nag-send mo ka na mga kuan.
Unsa?
First topic.
Wait lang. Nasend na ko siya on Monday.
Materials.
This one. Hi, forward ako.
Wala kuan. Sige, salamat.
This one, nasend ako na siya. Okay? So for those na dili siya maka-follow through sa kaning discussion kay tungod hinay in the internet, you can just check the recording that I'll be sending. So let's proceed na with the with the discussion. So yes, question? Pwede na ninyo i-chat.
First na ito itong introduction. Tagalog sa mo. Brief history lang or progress.
Sige. So actually wala ko'y nadungog. Naabot yung kuan. So si Kirk, no? Unsay first activity na to? So first activity is our first activity will be about anthropometrics and ergonomics. So I'll discuss it after I'll discuss ergonomics and anthropometrics. If ever makadiscuss ta ana today, so basically after the discussion makahatag na ko sa inyo og activity, but you'll need steel tape for that one lang. Steel tape and the template. So I'll be sending you the details of the template and the dimensions.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes. Saman.
Ito'y first activities.
Ansa?
First activity na to.
Ang first activity na to will be about anthropometrics and ergonomics. So I'll discuss it na lang after my discussion about the topic. So basically after this one, we'll have few slides after. Then I'll continue with the anthropometrics and ergonomics na niya. After anthropometrics and ergonomics, then we'll have our first plate. That's our first activity. That is individual. So basically, mabuhat na ninyo sa inyo. Okay? Okay? Nadungog ako?
Miss.
Nadungog ra? Okay. Sige. I'll
Dungog, miss. Dungog, miss.
Wala mo kadungog? Sige.
Dungog
Basta
naman si
na-
Miss. Klaro naman.
Madungog? Sige. Sige.
Dungog na.
Takas bukid niyor.
Okay, ani na lang. So, sige, pahuman na ko ani kay para maka-discuss na ta on ergonomics and anthropometrics. Or can we wait lang ha. Okay na. So I'll proceed na. Okay. All right.
Sige, miss. Proceed na, miss.
Sige. So
Sige, okay ra. Sige.
sige, what to consider in planning? So unsa inyong i-consider daw if magplano na mo? So these are just the 10 basic considerations of planning. So basically, daghan pa jud kayo na siya. And the first one is the distribution. So this distribution is more on how you would identify traffic, or how you would identify the activities on a certain area, and inyo siyang ibutang on where the less traffic will be. So basically, zoning. So diri nga part is your bedroom, like ang katong inyong gi-identify na areas na less activities, so gi-distribute ninyo diha na certain part, and on the other side, that's your areas where you are gonna have more activities like kitchen, dining, living. So and for service area as well. So basically, ang inyo na siyang muna siya inyong consideration, di ba? Kung magplano mo is to zone out areas, distribute areas kung asa siya dapat na butang. Okay? So second is the circulation. Circulation also is a what do you call this? Is a parang murag ko na siya kanang aspect in connection to distribution. So if your areas are already properly distributed, and if you are already zoned out certain areas, basing on their purpose and on the activities that will occur on that certain area, then the circulation will be good and unhampered. So main goal for the circulation is to have an unobstructed flow of activities. Meaning ana walay babag, walay difficulties on completing the task. So muna siya. It's one consideration po in planning is to know and identify if it's a good if it's a good plan, if you have a proper circulation. So third consideration is the light and ventilation. Light and ventilation, this is more on the artificial lighting. Ventilation is more on the natural lighting and the natural ventilation. So it's one also of the basic consideration of architecture. Kay as of now, or we are, as much as possible, we wanted to plan our buildings or structures na less energy kanang less energy ang ma-consume. So basically, we put, or we situate our windows on a maximized capacity. So what asa man strategic magbutang og windows in a certain area or in a certain building. So basically, you want to maximize the the circulation. If you want to have proper ventilated area, so imo na siyang ibutang on windows are located on the north and the south. And as much as possible, ayaw siya ibutang ang inyong windows on the west side, because on the west side na diha ang afternoon sun. So afternoon sun is init na siya. If dili jud malikayan nga magbutang mo og window on east side, on the west side, at least man lang minimize it. Ayaw siya ayaw siya dak-a ang inyong windows on the west side. Kay tendency ana ang area ang area ana is init jud na siya. Maybe you can also situate areas sa west side kanang dili non-habitable rooms. Non-habitable rooms like kitchen, service area. So pwede na siya ninyo ibutang sa west side. Kay dili man na siya habitable area. Habitable areas are like the bedrooms and the master bedrooms. So if you want to, if di jud malikayan nga magbutang mo bedroom on the west side, at least man lang put a barrier. It could be landscaping barrier or a aesthetic barrier. So, muna siya ang mga basic considerations lang ninyo if you in planning. So, at least put much windows. Dili pod ingon daghan kayo nga windows. Okay, that would be costly pod. So, i-maximize lang ninyo ang pagbutang og windows, but don't overdo it. Never over design. Okay, it will have an impact po sa inyong building. Okay, so another consideration, sizes and areas. I mean, sizes and areas, this is in relation po din siya sa Anthropometrics and Ergonomics. So we need to identify the areas, I mean the dimensions, our own dimensions, the human dimensions. If maayo ba siya on that area, pwede ba siya makalihok, sufficient ba siya sa kana nga area nga gihatag nimo. So we'll discuss it on this is in relation to anthropometrics and ergonomics, the sizes and areas. So basically naigihatag sa atua National Building Code of the Philippines na siya gihatag na minimum standard dimensions in each area. So muna siya gi-follow na to, but actually the minimum dimension set by the government is not really parang murag dili jud na siya basihan nga diha lang takutob, because actually we're planning because we wanted to be comfortable in the area that we are constructing. So basically dili lang mo settle on kung unsay gi-set sa gobyerno. So, like for example, the habitable room is ang minimum standard dimensions of a habitable room or a bedroom is 2 meters by 3. So with ang minimum dimension niya is 2 meters. So 2 by 3, that is 6 square meters. So muna gi-require sa National Building Code. But to come to think of it, 2 by 3 is very small if you have a lot of area, a lot of things, diba? If you wanted to have a big bed, dili na siya sufficient 2 by 3. If you have walk-in closet, if you have toilet and bath inside your room, so dili na siya 2 by 3 is not sufficient. So basically, ang gihatag lang sa gobyerno sa atua is the minimum dimensions. Muna siya standard, pero dili lang ta mo set on unsay gihatag nga kanang minimum sa gobyerno sa atua, because we are planning for our own convenience or for the convenience of the clients and customers as well. So basically, at least man lang i-exceed na to gamay ang katong experience. Okay? So, we'll discuss this further kung nanata sa Anthropometrics and Ergonomics. So, orientation is the proper placement of your building kung asa siya naka-orient. So that this also connects on the lighting and ventilation because you need to maximize if i-maximize mo ang what do you call this? If i-maximize mo ang lighting, natural lighting, that imo siya i-situate ang serviceable areas nimo on the east side. So actually, all this will have a different discussion with orientation. Kay unya na ni siya if in-depth na ni siya nga planning. Kay actually, ang kaning basic considerations of planning is a very broad topic. So daghan sa gayo jud na siya considerations. We'll just cover the basic ones. So if you have questions as well, don't hesitate to ask. If ever na ako wala na point out, so you can ask. So another is the laws and restrictions. Laws, muna siyang National Building Code, the Fire Code. Are you familiar with the Fire Code? The Fire Code, the BP 344, the accessibility law, meaning ani is naatay gi-follow nga restrictions for the PWD. So in each building or in each structure, dapat naa siya accessibility or dapat accessible siya sa PWD. So that is the BP 344. That is accessibility law. So if ever you constructed a building, then dili maka-access sa PWD, most likely dili na siya. Di mo taga-ag permit sa municipal engineering office or sa office of the building official. So this is also one of the many restrictions. We also have the housing law and the national housing codes. So naasa tayo in ana. So daghan siya restrictions actually. So we'll just cover also the ones that are basic. So another consideration will be height. So height of the building. So height, not just height of the building, height of the person or the people who will be using or who will be occupying the building. So, certain floor to ceiling height as well, the overall height, and the height of the furniture. That's also to be considered. So next will be the facilities. The facilities, these are facilities na ginagamit more on the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and the fire protection. So those facilities, we also need to incorporate that one on the design. So that it is also important for us to identify at least the basic ideas of the MEPF, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire pro, because it muna siya sila mag-base sila sa unsay gi-design nato. So as much as possible na anticipate na nato nga naana sila. So for example, the plumbing facilities, tagaan na nato certain tank na area. So i-incorporate na nadaan ninyo ang facilities on your design. So it is important as well in planning to know the basic facilities. So, and next is the location. This is more on the general location. So, general location, kung asa ninyong situate ang inyong project, or kung asa, or if your client is asking, or if your customer is asking, no, if na okay ba niya siya tukuran og residential on this area, or okay ra ba niya siya tukuran og commercial area on this type of land. So that is considered as well. Okay, if ever you're gonna put up a commercial establishment on a agricultural land, so basically dili na namang market in mga commercial building, di ba? So location is also considered as well in planning. And lastly, the superstition. Superstition, this refers to the feng shui, form of feng shui. I think you're familiar with feng shui and feng shui experts. So some of the designers don't incorporate this one, but mostly manggod if you have a client na who believes in superstition. So basically, makonsider dyan ninyo. So, like, for example, na siya ganahan siya dagang kay water feature in his house. So, imo na siya ang i-consider. That's your consideration as well. So, if na ay mga tanong sa imo ha, magpaplano ko nimo be. So, imo din niya siyang i-review ang basic considerations in planning. So, first, i-identify ng areas kung saan mo pag-distribute, identify in circulation. So, how will you put the windows, the openings, light and ventilation, if you would require artificial lighting for that one, or artificial ventilation, kung ganahan siya aircon. So, the sizes, muna ni siya, you're gonna detail na on unsay sizes sa imong certain areas. So, and orient also the areas asa siya mag-facing just to maximize the wind, the amihan and habagat. So, also the laws and restrictions, if ever unsay mga minimum, so you'll adjust. And same goes as well with the high facilities, location, and superstition. Okay? So, any questions? Are you still with me? Napa ba yung mga tao dire?
Miss.
Yes.
Okay.
Miss.
Apa, boys?
Napa.
Okay. Sige, so
Yes, miss.
any questions? Any questions? Naba may questions in consideration before you plan? What are the things that you need to consider? Naba ba mo yung kuan ani kanang questions? Naa? Wala?
Wala.
Wala. Sige. So, we'll proceed sa last slide, ani nga topic sa introduction. So, construction. So, construction is another aspect, no, sa architecture. But this is more on the kuan na siya, the realization. Kung diri na mo sulod ang mga expectation versus reality. So, construction is the activity of putting together different elements using a detailed design and plan to create a structure for a certain location. So, this construction is more on kuana ni siya, the actual. Muna ni siya ang actual ninyo. But also, this is based on the plans which was given to them. So basically, naghimo ni sila, construct sila, ang more on the art as the engineer, kung unsay gihatag sa ilang plano. So basically, muna siya ang importance sa architectural drawings on construction. Okay? So, okay. So that's the last slide na for the introduction to architectural drawing. So any questions before we'll proceed? Naaba may nasabtan ato or wala?
Wala gid miss.
Unsa may asa mga na parts tanan?
Kanan miss giputol-putol miss.
Okay. Sige lang, ako man gi-record. So, ako lang i-send sa inyo ang recording. Unsa may ko ano niyo ato? Unsa may how about ang uban? Naka-follow ra wala or wala yun? Walay naka-follow.
Kita signal nyor.
Yes.
Potol-potol? Just me.
Putol gyud.
Naaram may gamay mes.
Araw miss.
Sige, katong uban. Unsay wala na sabtan? Tanan?
Tanan yun.
Agoy.
Tanan gyud.
Sige. Actually,
Baka palala mo sa recording.
sige. Sige.
Yes.
Ay, may questions? Question?
Low.
Question?
Question.
Wala? If wala,
Kurt.
if wala, para proceed na ko sa next.
Miss nga nung next. Oh.
Sige.
Ano ganang na building permit miss?
Nganong kailangan na ay building permit?
Oh.
Kay actually, muna'y basis sa electrical contractor. So basically, wala may building permit, dili mo tawurag kuryente. Gawas if gitap na ninyo. And actually,
Sige miss.
and mamagod na siya i-regulate sa government. Actually, it's one of the regulations of the government para dili ma-overdesign ang certain structure. So dapat na siya gi-follow para dili siya pataka na lang og design, and following also more on good sa building permits is dili ka hatagan nila og building permit if naay discrepancies imong design. So it's one of the regulations set by the government to regulate the structures. Kaya mostly uban poorly designed, wala siya ni follow sa standard, and some of it pod kay overly designed, which is dili na pod siya ingon nga what do you call this, dili sa practical. So muna kay that's why there's building regulations, and you're given, and if you have considered all the regulations, and if pasok ang inyong design sa gi-regulate sa mga restrictions, then probably you won't be having problems in the future. Kay gi-anticipate naman na nila, gi-kuan naman na nila, what do you call this, gi-set naman na nila, gi-ipon na nila ang mga usual problems ba niya. If that problem, ilang gitagaan o solution each problem, then muna na siya nakakam up sila og mga codes for that one. Nga dapat inana ang para smooth ra inyong um activity sa inyong building and matagaan na permit. Actually, lobat na.
Thank you, miss.
Sige. So, any questions pa? It's
Signal. Signal. Get somebody, take your heart. Every time you're right, she go find a way.
okay? Any question?
Pero, kanta, Migo. Migo. Pero kanta.
Wala na yung question?
Hangin kita rin, Migo.
Wala na yung
Relax na kayo, Migo.
Miss.
na. Sige, pwede na tayo mag-proceed sa next topic.
Planning kamot. Ano is the action, the motion? Simba pa rin ko. Skills? Ay.
Okay. So, wala na.
Bakit nga ba mahal kita? Bakit ba?
Mute, binut.
Okay na? Okay na, okay na?
Okay na, miss.
Okay.
Okay na, miss.
Sige. So,
Pagtingin simbahan.
yeah. Do you have any idea about anthropometrics and ergonomics?
Yes, miss.
Yes? Sige daw. Kita man to ba yun? Yes?
Ay, Jose!
Kinsa?
William daw, miss. William.
Jose ito, mes.
Jose? Sige daw?
Oo, Jose.
Sige.
Jose, mes.
Kinsa man? Sige, unsa man? What is
Miss,
anthropometrics
kanang
and ergonomics? Asa lang.
refers to human measurement, measurement of human individuals.
Correct. Sige, ang ergonomics.
Ergonomics is kanang
Yun yung subject.
Anything tower design.
or people who use them or
To the people who will use them, no?
to improve and minimize risk of injury or harm.
Okay. Sige, tama. May pag-google?
Pagka-google.
Ay, gamay.
Sige,
Ay,
actually,
gamay.
tama to siya. So, we'll start with anthropometrics. So, anthropometrics is tama to giingon ni kita to, si Jose ba to? Tama to.
Jose, mes.
Tama tong giingon ni Jose nga it's more on
Michael.
Michael to, mes.
si Michael ito. Sorry, wala ko natin.
Jose.
Kaan. Tama to giingon ni sure ba mo? Sige. So, it's
Sure, mes.
anthropometrics. It's human measurement. So, are you before I'll tackle the meaning of anthropometrics or before I'll dissect the meaning. So, are you familiar with, makita na ninyo sa screen?
Yes, and drawing, miss.
Makakita na mo.
Kaning mamay, kaning
Image.
Sa
Kanina.
miss, ay, wait sa miss.
kaning gadupa.
Hmm.
Kita.
Are you familiar
Yes,
with
miss.
that one?
Kini, gado pa, miss.
Kana. Familiar mo, ana?
Yes, miss. Katong ko Leonardo
Shit, eh.
da Vinci.
Familiar mo, ano?
Leonardo.
Oh, human anatomy. Oh, wala.
Kuha na siya kanang sa Vitruvian Man. Sa
Oh, Travidian man eh.
Vitruvian Man. So, gidrawing ni Leonardo da Vinci, but this is design. Ang idea ani is ang theory behind this one is from Marcus Vitruvius Polio. So, ito lang akong next slide. Goodness gracious. So the Vitruvian Man was created by sakto Leonardo da Vinci. So ang gibasean ni Leonardo da Vinci ani is ang theories ni Marcus Vitruvius Polio. So ang meaning ani niya is the proportional relationship of the parts reflects the universal design. He believed the workings of the human body should be analogy for the workings of the universe. Meaning ani ang working environment nato nag-base siya kung unsay nag-base siya sa human body. Nag-base siya nato. So ang atong design in the future for the working environment basically nato ra gyud na siya gi-pattern out. Nakagets ra mo?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay. So in the work environment or in the working setup, usually daghan may kuan diba mga complications na ma-encounter if naa ka sa work or even if you're at school, diba? So makita ra ninyo ning picture nga naa sa screen. I mean sa slide. Kita ra?
Yes.
So basically,
Dara, miss.
so daghan unsa pa inyong nakuan? Unsa inyong nakitaan? Aside from
Kitang hawak.
Kita kahawak mo ba?
okay. Well,
Tapos
yes.
nag-smile.
Nag-smile din na naman nakuan naman na siya.
Sorry, sakit.
Actually,
Struggle.
so
Repeat.
what do you think man na main reason nga no nakit ni iyang hawak diri? Aside from the
Dili
personal,
proper yung ito, miss.
dili proper ang iyang
Sig
posture.
lingkod, miss.
Okay, sige lingkod. Aside from that, I mean if relating it to
Taas ra kayo yan. Mag-iya.
okay, taas rin kayo ang lingkuranan or taas ra kayo ang table.
Yes.
So,
Astra kayong hawak, miss.
Dili kuan, miss. Dili siya murag
Di proportion.
dili siya professional.
Okay. So, actually, this one is a ergonomic problem. So we'll tackle ergonomics after we tackle anthropometrics. Ergonomics manggod is designing with human comfort, and anthropometrics is the study of human leisure. So we'll so many problems are encountered no, in terms of design kay tungod wala na meet sa designer ang comfort zone
Nay, bayla tag cellphone no.
gamit sa mga
Ang ito.
client.
Ah,
That's
baka na basta yung may-ari, gwapo.
that's a major ano po. Can you i-mute i-mute ni
Labo, tingin Jose.
i-mute sa ng
Say, mute, say. Dagan kay gwapo, dra, say.
Saan sa?
Paminawan ni
Imis le patabi. Ya ba
Mamoy.
Okay, sige. Going back. So, kunya na siya i-unmute if ever na ko'y pangutana or na ko'y kuan kay more on mo salot-salot siya. Okay? So, going back, in designing, we need to consider anthropometrics. Anthropometrics is the comparative study of the measurements and capabilities of the human body. It derives from the Greek word anthropos, meaning human, and metron, meaning measure. So anthropometrics, anthropos meaning human. Sayo na kayo ni siya. Sayo na kayo na human and metrics meaning measure. So basically we're gonna study human measurements. So if makakita mo sa slide, if makakita mo sa slide, na ay certain measurements each part, diba? Kita mo?
Asa, miss?
Yes, miss.
Diba? From,
May mga
yes.
proportion.
So, from the shoulder width to the trunk to the height sa tao, i-consider na siya. Height sa arm, length sa arm, length sa legs, it's also considered. Basically, anthropometrics is a study of human measurement. So, gimeasure na siya each aspect. So, muna siya ang inyong basis na ninyo in coming up with an ergonomic design. So, ganun. Okay. Sana marag na ay marag na ay
Isa lang guwan eh.
Juliet, yop. Juliet.
ha? Okay. Okay. So, makita rin ninyo ang nasa screen.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes.
naadiri ang mga kuan niya, ang mga certain any heights. So if you'll have a table and na ay computer sa table. So basically ang horizontal side of line nakabantay mo. Kita mo ani horizontal side of line. Kita mo? Nakita ra mo? So basically ang vision okay. Naigipakita diri ang vision without the stress.
Miss, may kita ra.
So vision without the stress. So ang comfortable viewing angle ano niya is naa siya mo range to 60 to 40. So any angle greater than this one is uncomfortable na for the user. So if you're gonna design lang man gani a table nga na ay computer, so dapat imo ni siyang i-consider. Or kung sa imong living room or living area nimo nagmount ka og television or TV, wall-mounted TV. So ang kaning viewing angles imo na siyang i-consider. Kay para if mulingkod ka sa living area man-an-aw kang TV, dili kaayo taas ang imong TV, so dili sakit sa mata or dili kayo ubos ang TV. So naara ni siya mo range, dapat ang mounting height sa imong TV naara siya mo range sa comfortable maximum viewing angle. Sabot mo? Sabot ka? Sabot ka mo?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So, actually, the anthropometric is more on identifying human measurements. It's more on sukdon unsa nimo kung unsay sukod sa imong tiil. Sukdon nimo ang sukod sa imong tiil para mo na siya yung basis sa imong design. Or mo na siya ang basis ang imong sukod sa imong lapalap, imong sukod sa imong tiil, imong sukdon. So basically, maghatag kag allowance mo na siya imong design para sa imong shoe cabinet or imong design for your stairs, diba? So that is anthropometric. It's more on a study of human measurement. So actually